Hello again, whiskey friends. All right, got a challenge this time. Marty from Whiskey Knows challenged me to do some 5 whiskeys that you need challenge. As if I can decide on 5 bottles. I'm clearly, a minimalist when it comes to whiskey. But we're going to do this challenge. We're going to come up with the 5 whiskeys that fit the 5 categories. Hey, stick around. See what I chose. Thanks for joining, whiskey friends. Let's kick off the show. Thanks for joining, everyone. So, I do got this fancy Whiskey Nose Glen from Marty. Thank you for this, Marty. And my daily is actually in here. The first category I'm going to go through... my first category I'm going to go through is the mixer. The mixer. What's the mixer? It's in here right now. And I chose Old Grandad 114. Man, do I love this mixer. Now... one thing I gotta tell you about myself, I went through a whole journey. I kind of gave up sugar and everything. So mixing drinks doesn't usually happen for me. I usually drink it neat. But last night, I did make my own eggnog. And I'm just gonna pour the mixer in there. So that's what I'm going to sip on while I'm hanging out with everybody today. I got some lovely eggnog to fit the season. Unfortunately for me, I actually haven't tried this yet. This will also be the first sampling of this live. Hopefully it tastes good. Yeah, it's pretty good. Made this myself. So that is my mixer. Old Grandad 114. Man, I love the proof and I love the spice that it brings to a cocktail. Man, I love the spice that it's bringing to this eggnog. I don't even have to add any nutmeg to it. Ooh, that's good. All right, second category, daily drinker. I'm going to cheat. I'm going to show 2 bottles, but really it's all one thing. Come on, it's like 5-6 year MGP picks. This is what I drink all the time. If I'm going to a movie and I'm, smuggling in a flask, it's full of some MGP. This is my daily drinker. So right now I'm showing the Remus, and I got Old Scout picks. But man, I go through so many other picks. Gosh, tumbling dice. Oh, so many of them. But that's my daily. Man, I love MGP. Third category, the Friday night pour. I struggled with this one a little bit. So the way I'm going to interpret this is how I start a Friday night. So, just kind of picturing it, just getting done with work. I'm going to leap into the weekend. You can't go straight hazmat. You got to ease yourself into it. But you also got to reward yourself for a hard week's work. So for the way I'm going to kick off a weekend on a Friday night, I went with the Russell's Private Barrel Select. Man, I think this is just a good solid pour. Between usually being 9-10 years old, the 110 proof. It's just perfect way to reward yourself and ease your way into the weekend. All right, another sip of eggnog. Cheers, everybody. I'm actually kind of proud of myself for this eggnog. It's really good. All right, impress your guests. I'm going to cheat on this category. I know I was limited to 5. But impress your guests could mean 2 totally different things. The one that impresses people the most, the one I'll just put out there when people come to my house, family, friends, people that aren't that into whiskey, but man, they are going to go crazy when they see a little horsey on top. So if I want to impress people, I just put that out there, and really this works for like 80-90% of people. Now, if I'm doing a whiskey tasting, though, I think that's a completely opposite scenario. I'm going to pull out 1 bottle here, but it's more generic than that. When you come to my house, you can drink anything you need to drink. And a bottle that people gravitate towards, that I find interesting, that I think then fits this impress your guests. They don't always drink the William LaRue Weller. They don't always drink the Stag Junior. Like, I think they'll gravitate a certain way. No, they tend to go after this. The Desert Jewel from Smoke Wagon. And I think it's just because, it's just something that they hadn't tried yet. They heard a lot about. They want to try the Blue Medallion, and they just want to complete that vertical. They want to taste everything within a vertical. So they'll go to the Smoke Wagon. The runner-up on this one would have been something in the Master's Keep collection. I do find that people gravitate towards those as well, especially some of the early ones like Decades and 17. That'll be what they gravitate towards, but I'll go with the Desert Jewel for this. And then the fifth category is the special occasion. Now, I really only have one bourbon that fits special occasion because I take it so literally. And that is the Old Forester Birthday Bourbon. I typically only drink this on my own birthday or someone else's birthday, or give a pour to somebody on their birthday. But I take it literally to be birthday bourbon. And gosh, this is the 2019 batch. You can see I've been nursing the heck out of this one since I only touch it about once or twice a year, depending on the birthday. And that would fit the perfect description of a special occasion whiskey. Oh, well, thanks for joining me, everybody. And thank you for indulging me as I sip on this absolutely delicious eggnog. But I have to pass this challenge on to somebody else. And I am going to pass this challenge on to Kelsey. Over there in the Whiskey Riff Lounge, it is Kelsey's turn to tell us his 5 whiskey bottles that he needs. Wait a second here. I'm getting a call. Oh, Kelsey just happens to be here, everybody. Hey, Kelsey.
Cheers, man.
Wow, what a coincidence. You just happened to call at the same time, and I
happened to call.
Wow, that's
crazy.
Oh, man. Well, I'm going to leave it to you, Kelsey. Why don't you tell us about your top 5 whiskeys or 5 whiskey bottles that you need?
All right. Well, welcome back, guys. This is a really cool challenge. Thanks, Marty, for doing this to Jeff, and Jeff asking me to do it. One of my favorite mixers is also one of my favorites to drink neat, but it is Early Times Bottled in Bond whiskey. It's enough proof that if you're going to mix it in something that you have enough flavor that I like for mixing, whether it be a cocktail or anything along those lines. I just really love that one. This particular bottle is actually the old one before they went to the blue screw tap, before Sazerac took it over. If you can find any of these laying around, I'm telling you, bro, go pick it up. It's like less than $20 per liter. The second one is my daily drinker. One of my favorite bands that I drink all the time that I love, which is Smoke Wagon, the Younger. It's also signed by Mr. Chepernick himself, Aaron. And man, I love what he's doing in these blends. The fact that you can get an uncut, unfiltered version of this that's a little bit younger for this price point is really worth a pickup. If you guys have not checked out Smoke Wagon, the Younger, do yourself a treat and do that. I kind of debated along with Jeff about what my Friday night kind of starts out at, but I kind of went back and forth between a few bottles. Finally came up with one that I really find myself gravitating towards, even though it's a little bit higher proof. After a long week of work, I want something that's going to kind of hit me a little bit harder at first. So I went with the Mash and Journey pick of Jack Daniel's Barrel Proof. It's kind of getting reflected. There we go. And then this one is the One Up pick that he did just a few months ago. Man, Jack Daniel's lately has been killing it with their special releases, but also just their normal barrel proof. Even if you can find it, just their normal barrel proof is amazing, and it's really, really got a lot of flavor. Price points like $60, $65. So it's a really good price point for the value of what you're actually getting. So that was how I would start my Friday. Now the next one is probably a little bit more on what I would do to impress my guests as far as what I think they would gravitate towards. For bottle shapes, a lot depends on that. So I went with one that came out this year with a really cool bottle shape, which is the Remus Gatsby Reserve. As impress your guest, it's a 15-year-old barrel-proof whiskey. It's 97.8, on the proof. So the proof point's kind of low enough for people that aren't necessarily into bourbon as I am, or that know as much maybe, but it's got a lot of flavor. It's sweet up front. It's easy to drink, but it has a lot of flavor punch to it. And the bottle is freaking cool, along with the box that goes with this. So that's why I picked Remus Gatsby. Now, the last one is a special occasion pour. Unfortunately, this one is going really fast. I got this for my birthday this year. It is Smoke Wagon's Private Barrel. This is a New York pick, and it is a 12-year private barrel pick. And man, dude, this is like incredible. So whenever I have a special occasion like my birthday, I want to celebrate. I've given a lot of this away to friends for them to try as well. We tried it on a stream a couple of weeks ago. So that would be my top 5 whiskeys. Let us know what you guys are going to be drinking in your top 5 and what those bottles are. And you know what? I'm going to challenge Darrell Stewart. So Darrell is going to be the person that I challenge next for his top 5 whiskeys. And I think, wait a minute. Darrell? I think we have Darrell is on the phone. Darrell.
Hey. What's going on, guys?
Give us your top 5 whiskeys here, and I'm going to throw it to you, buddy.
Yes, sir. Yes, sir. To caveat on everybody that everyone's been doing. Marty, thank you, for nominating us in regards to this little challenge. I'm gonna dive in with my mixer. If anyone knows me, I was like a sucker for like whiskeys and Coke back in the day. Then I gravitated more towards just higher proof in a sense. So shying away from those 80 proofs with Cokes and juice, or whatever the case was, and moved over to some ribby. I may get some flack for this because everybody loves to drink this neat, as do I. But I love having a higher proof, and I'm a whiskey and Coke guy. I don't really make too many cocktails or different mixers, or mixed drinks, should I say, in a sense. But yeah, just love the higher proof, and you have a couple of those, and you're kind of good to go for the rest of the day for the most part. Moving on to like that daily drinker. For me, when I think of daily drinker, I'm looking at more towards a lower proof, something I can just enjoy, obviously, on a daily. And when I think of that, I look at that great Remus 5. And I would say Remus in general is still pretty great, but this Remus 5 in particular was fantastic, or is fantastic. 100 proof, aged, I want to say minimum like 12 to 13 years, upwards to 15 or 16. It was just a phenomenal bottle. I want to say it made most of everybody's probably top 10 whiskeys of the year last year. Just a great, great bottle. And it's literally like it could be that daily drinker. It's that good. For me, when I think of Friday night pour, I lean towards something that's just gonna, just put me in a good spot. Not really so much quickly, but just flavorful. When I think of flavorful, I'm Heaven Hill. I'm a Heaven Hill junkie, and most of you guys know me already, but Heaven Hill, I'm looking at Elijah Craig Barrel Proof. Not anyone in particular, but just the way that these bottles just been hitting have just been fantastic. Some of the newer ones for 2022 have been great. Some of the older barrels, even the fire barrels, obviously are just phenomenal. But, that Friday night pour for me, I'm sitting down, I'm pouring a couple ounces of barrel proof, and I'm just hanging out, relaxing, you know, watching a flick or whatever the case is, just, you know, laid back, enjoying myself with some barrel proof. You know, when I look at impressing your guest, and Jeff touched on this earlier, and I kind of I was in the same boat with a couple different bottles, but we'll just lean towards impressing your guests for those who know whiskey, right? Not just casual drinker. You know, if I'm looking to impress somebody that comes over to my place to have a couple drinks, you know, I'm pulling out some BTAC, and people know George C. Stagg. You know, this one right here is the 2020 release, which was really, really good in my opinion. Probably the best that they had from, God, I would say 2017. Yeah, I think this beat 2017, 18, and 19, hands down. 2016 was a little better than that. But if I'm looking to impress somebody, that's probably the bottle that I'm pulling out. It's everybody that knows whiskey, knows bourbon, knows BTAC, and definitely knows George C. Stagg. You know, and to go above that, we're looking at special occasions. Hasn't been many over here, especially with some bourbon drinkers. But if I'm doing that, I am looking at or pulling out something that was newly acquired, some King of Kentucky. You know, because this is on, I would say, every bourbon drinker's radar, wish list, unicorn list. You know, it's bottles that they want to try that they haven't tried. You know, and for this list, I'm just gravitating more towards that bourbon drinker that knows bourbon. You know, that King of Kentucky, I want to say the minimum they do is 14 years. You got the new one being an 18-year. They just produce bangers. You know, you really can't go wrong, honestly, with any of them. You know, and if I'm looking to pull out something for a special occasion, that is probably going to be the bottle that I do. You know, so that kind of wraps up everything on my end in terms of these 5 bottles that we were challenged by Marty. Kelsey threw out some 5. Actually, and the crazy thing is, I don't think really any of us really threw the same bottles out there, which is pretty crazy. You know, but thank you, Marty, for having us on here. What we're going to do is challenge the Turks, Ethan and Katie, to the same challenge here. Let us know what your 5 bottles are. I'm anxious. I know Kelsey and Jeff are anxious to know what you guys are going to choose as well. But yeah, let us know what you're drinking and what are those 5 bottles that you're pulling out, you know, at any given point for these occasions. Thanks for having us, or thanks for tuning in, should I say. And cheers, everybody.